Good evening, everyone. How are we tonight? Very good. And is dinner most enjoyable, I hope? Very good. Good to hear. All right. Well, I would like to welcome you to the McMinnville Short Film Festival Awards Dinner and Keynote presentation. We're so happy that you're all here tonight. So that's me. I'm Diane Longacre. I realize I've never introduced myself to you all. So, hi. Hi. I would also like to introduce the rest of our board of directors. So, Diane Goodman, stand up. And Dan Morrow. And Nancy Morrow. Before we move on, though, I would like us all please to raise a glass to Dan and Nancy for putting together this amazing festival year after year. You guys are the best. Cheers. All right, so we would like to thank our support team, Noah Barrera and Vasily. Okay, hold on. I'm going to back up just a little bit. I'm going to warn you all tonight that I love you all immensely. English is definitely my first and only language, and so if I butcher your name just a little bit, please know that it does not show my lack of love, merely my lack of education. So, Vasily Budunov. Did I get it? Budunov. Very good. So, Noah is obviously our graphic artist, and Vasily our poster and program designer. So I'd like to thank our judges, and if our judges are here when I call your name, if you'd love to stand up, that'd be fantastic. We have Ben Popp from the Northwest Film Center. Matt Meyer, Associate Professor of Cinematic Arts at George Fox University. Elijah Hayson, award-winning filmmaker. Melissa Gregory Rue, writer, producer, director. I think our judges are shy. Michael Brian Hull, artist, filmmaker. And lastly, Christina Dodge, freelance video production. All right, now I am going to tell you about the coolest keynote speaker ever. Are we very excited? Yes. All right, so James Westby, called a wizard of concision and a master of discomfort by the New York Times. James Westby is an independent filmmaker from Portland, Oregon. Whoop, whoop. He writes, directs, and edits provocative films with economic budgets and no compromises, and big laughs and discomfort. Westby made features include Film Geek, socially inept video store clerk loses his job and starts working at an auto parts warehouse. The Auteur, a sweet romantic comedy about the world's greatest porn director. And Rid of Me, timid housewife wreaks revenge on her yuppie husband and his a-hole friends. His films have played at the Tribeca Film Festival, Traverse City Film Festival, Palm Springs Shorts Fest, and hundreds of others. Westby's work in the commercial world include the short film Even Rachel Would for Tomboy Clothier Wildfang, starring Kim Gordon, Beth Ditto, and Evan. It's Evan. Did I say even? Well, good grief. And I haven't had any wine. This is problematic. All right, Evan Rachel Wood, as well as recent campaigns for Duraflame and the cannabis edibles company Mirth Provisions. He is currently at work on his next feature, the experimental comedy musical documentary. Got that? Comedy musical documentary at the video store. It is our pleasure to welcome James Westby, our keynote speaker for the 8th Annual McMinnville Short Film Festival.
Thank you. Did she say something about me being a pro at keynote speeches or something? I don't know that that's true. I mumble a lot, so if that happens, just say something. My daughter will say something. I have a 4-year-old over there. There we go. She mentioned my movie At the Video Store. I promised some physical comedy when I came up here. It was a real pleasure. Thank you, first of all, Nancy and Dan and the whole festival, and anyone to do with the festival. It's a real pleasure to be here, and congratulations to all the filmmakers. I saw several films last night that I won't forget anytime soon. I mean that in a good way. But it was especially nice to, Nancy and Dan are lovely people, but finding out that they owned Movie Time Video, hearing about it's a subject close to my heart, and obviously over the last several years I've been working on this video store documentary, and it was especially nice to meet these folks and to hear a little bit about their own history with their own store, which closed in 2016. But sounds like a place that I would have loved to have browsed at and probably just hung out with my friends. So a lot of my life, I'm actually, part of me is probably pretty tired of just the subject of video stores, but again, meeting these people and everybody last night, it got me back into the subject of my own film. And it's funny that this is a shorts festival. When I started making films, I didn't make shorts. I just went right into feature films, which I don't recommend. I was pretty naive, and I just wanted to be the Coen brothers and Sam Raimi, and the films that I made early on were very rigidly scheduled and produced, and I storyboarded them, and they were kind of like mini Hollywood films, but done dirt cheap. And after several of those, I made 7 feature films. A lot of them you've never heard of and never will see. Some of them you just have to throw away, even if they end up costing a lot of money. But I decided when video stores started going away, at least once they started, like around 2013, I decided I wanted to at the very least archive some experiences with my friends who I'd worked with at several stores over the years, and just kind of archive perhaps just the rise and fall, document that of the industry. And I started doing that, and it was great. I met a lot of wonderful people and got some good interviews, but I just kind of was grabbing shots and collecting stories, and it took quite a while for it to come together as I just kept shooting, and it had a lot to do with my obsession of the subject matter. But also I was making a living in advertising, which I recommend if you can do it. It's tricky to get those jobs sometimes, but it's often the case that I utilize the same resources in Portland on commercials as I do with independent feature films. So, basically, so the movie's called At the Video Store, and it's currently in rough cut form. I'm going to show you some clips tonight. Yeah, there's a lot of clips, actually. I prefer showing work much more than talking about it, but I think something will come out of that with regard to how I feel about the current, filmmaking landscape, especially with regard to distribution, streaming, and all the. I mean, everybody. Does anybody go to video stores anymore? Yeah. Movie Mat. Yeah, I'm there all the time. I knew you looked familiar. There are a lot of things in the first initial cuts, and I've gone through this movie, it's been like 6 years, and I put a bunch of edits of the film together. I started and stopped over the years. Like 3 years ago, I gave it up completely for several months just to work on some advertising projects, and got back into it, got excited, interviewed a few more people, shot a ton more B-roll at Movie Madness. I've been in there shooting stills for so many years, and just little shots of, you know, a lot of DVD boxes. If anybody needs any like stock footage of video stores, let me know, because I have it. But one story in particular that I shot pretty early on was of this guy, Marty Arno, in Brooklyn Heights, New York. And I was lucky enough to meet this guy, and I'm starstruck just the idea of meeting him in person. I'd probably be nervous because I've been living with this footage for so long. But I was lucky enough to meet him on the day that he returned to the video store location where he lives in Long Island now, but he returned to Brooklyn Heights and just to be interviewed in front of where his store used to be. And he's a popular guy because I ended up filming several reunions of him having met people in that neighborhood just on the street that he hadn't seen in 10 years. And it kind of exemplified, or, you know, brought out the sense of community for my movie, or at least it gave me the spark of that without ever showing a video store. It was just him and his people, you know, that he hadn't seen in forever, and they were all his customers, and it was very moving. And this movie is kind of it's kind of, I would say, mostly comedic, but this guy's story just kind of provides the heartbeat, and it goes throughout the whole film. But I thought it's funny, the last, not only did I meet these guys and talk about their video store, but your employee right here, she's, yeah, oh, I know, but it was like, and your daughter also. Yeah. Just the idea of families working at a video store, like a mom and a daughter, is so cool. And through the making of this film, that happened several times where, you know, I saw a lot of folks, you know, whole families working at their stores. So that was a you know, inspiring thing to see. Basically, so that was one of the things that popped out, and I'm like, oh, yeah, this has got to be a part of the movie, because there's probably, I don't know, 50 stories that aren't in the film. I could make 5 other movies out of all the footage that I shot over the years. But one of the things I started doing for this film, when it kind of got boring to me, is I started writing songs for the film. I had a lot of ideas about just the basic themes that were kind of running through. One was just basically about streaming video. So I wrote a song, it's a duet, and Storm Large sings on that song, a country tune. And wrote another, like a gospel type song that Liz Weiss, who's a great singer in Portland. Basically, I just wanted to have a bunch of different genres of tunes that I could put into the film and you know, help illustrate in a pretty simple way the stories. So this next clip is a little tiny bit, and it's a punk song that Mo Troper, who's another up-and-coming Portland singer, performs. And it's all of them are super geeky. You notice that there's a lot of people just kind of geeking out on the film, and that's something. One of my ideas is to try to get the film to feel like you're in a video store, like all the time. So at all times, you know, the 3 different instances in the film, there's huge bursts of just people nerding out and recommending films. So if anything, if you come to the film when it comes out, you'll have, you know, you can make a list of movies. If the rest bores you, there's at least that. Sorry, there's a movie in the public domain called Driller Killer, Abel Ferrara film, and he forgot to, whoever was in charge of renewing the copyright did not do that, and so it's in the public domain. So sorry for all the children here that just saw that drill bit going to them. I forgot about that. But clearly, the guy talking, Ezra Clayton Daniels, is a really good friend of mine who worked with me. He's the guy that was, well, he said working with you guys, so he's obviously talking about me. He is somebody I worked with when he was very young at First Stop Video on Hawthorne in Portland. Doesn't exist anymore. It's now a piercing place. Something in some other. But anyway, obviously it's a combination. Over the years, it's just become a kind of strange, you know, combination of my friends and new people that I meet, and, you know, some heroes of mine, and then some, you know, other random famous people. And so, you know, it's kind of been a big part of it has been trying to integrate all those to make it feel like, you know, like it's cohesive and it's not any too much of one thing. But Another component in the film, of course, is Blockbuster and Hollywood. And at that store that I just mentioned, First Stop Video, I was lucky enough to work there when it became a Blockbuster. So I had ended up working for Blockbuster Video for about like a week or something, and then I left. And I had an interesting run-in with Hollywood Video, in that I was hired, when I got into advertising, I worked for a company called Sockeye, and they had the Hollywood Video account. And this next clip is going to be a little something different, but it's just one of those components or elements that I put into the film from my life that that is obviously appropriate. I mean, this is basically a training video. I was hired to direct the final training video for Hollywood Video, and they went out of business like 6 months later. So clearly, clearly it didn't work. And it was a very strange, concept anyway. My friend Melek, who'd been in my other films, the Auteur and Film Geek. And actually, it's funny because I show that, and my friend Melek, who's got all the, I tried to actually work that into the film, into my film, but it didn't work because it's too complicated to explain why is this guy playing all these parts. And anyway, so Katie, who plays the spokeswoman, she ended up as kind of a counterpoint within my film to kind of the independent stores and kind of speaking for the corporate sort of Blockbuster Hollywood, mentality. And I do have a soft spot for Hollywood Video just because it was fun working for those people, and it was kind of sad. But, overall, everybody hates Blockbuster. Everybody that I interviewed, there's not one person that said anything good about that corporation, which is kind of sad too. But, they kind of did do some horrible things, business practice-wise. It's funny, that's my daughter Olive. She's not here, she's 13, as the little red box girl. But I wrote that song. That was the first song that I wrote, and that's just the first half of it. It comes back later in the film. But Laura Veers is one of my favorites, and she sings that tune. And that's a good example of one of the antecedents, or one of the influences of this movie has been making films with my daughters, who are, well, the 4-year-olds right there, but I also have a 13 and 16-year-old. And we've been making films together, forever, as long as I can remember. And so I know that even if funding doesn't come through on any other projects or whatever, if it's ever too complicated, because sometimes it is, I can always make little personal mini masterpieces with them. But this emanated straight from that. I was just shooting some video and just told Olive to kick the red box machine. And that's where it started. It actually started, as a visual before it came into the story. Earlier in that clip, there's a kid, Esteban Munoz, who's working at Videorama, which I worked at. That was, I don't know, maybe the 8th video store of 9 that I worked at in my entire life. I don't know if I mentioned that before. That's a lot of video stores, over 20 years. It's been a long time. I think I stopped working, in 2007. I think I was still at Videorama. But Videorama also had a gym built into it. They recently went out of business. There were 5 or 6 total, I think. Portlanders can help me out with that, but there was one in Ladd's Edition that I don't think anybody went to because nobody can find anything in that neighborhood. Little Southeast Portland humor. Anyway, it's an example, as there are many in the film, and especially in Portland, of combo shops, like video stores that became something else so that they could stay in existence. And one of them is Videorama with the gym. I don't know, I think that certainly the gym, the profits from people going to work out probably eventually, exceeded what they were making on video rentals. But anyway, there's a kind of a through line in this film of different shops. And one of them is Great American Video and Espresso in Milwaukee, which also, if you live in Portland, go out there because they have awesome frozen custard if you're into that. And ice cream and obviously espresso. But when they moved, basically this guy owned his video store and moved into the US Bank building, which had a drive-through, and so he added espresso. And it eventually became more successful than the video store. But that's another big, I guess I'd call it a subplot. So that's most of what this movie is, just a bunch of, film references. Yeah, basically, I mean, overall, there's obviously a stream of, the idea of streaming and contemporary film distribution is on my mind a lot, and it's hard to, I don't expect anybody to go back to the idea of a video store, but, or like in droves. I know that a lot of people here obviously do, you know, browse and rent from stores, but I don't expect this movie to, you know, to make a, you know, this massive movement that, you know, changes everybody's habits. But I just want to implore just the idea of being able to combine the two. You know, there's no real way, in my estimation, to become like a, you know, a film nerd, like the proper kind of film nerd that you need to be without a video store. It's just not this. You'd have to buy so many things on eBay, and you just have to buy a lot. You have to be very wealthy. And to be able to just go into a director section, like I was talking to somebody about Howard Hawks, like he's a good example because he has maybe 10 like masterpiece films, and I can't think of any one of them that's available on streaming. You know, maybe I think Rio Bravo might be on Prime or something. But anyway, it's something to think about. And my idea with this film is mostly just to, you know, celebrate the video store and celebrate the friends that I've made over the years. And the new ones that I've made, and that's what it's been all about for all these years. But I also think it's fun to have made a film where I just collect little things along the way. And at first it was you know, it was fun at first, and then it got awful because I just got tired of it and didn't know what I was doing. But then and also just I guess just write songs and you'll make a better movie. That's how this worked out anyway. And I'd like to show one last clip, which is one of my favorite songs. It's a little more serious, but it's about Scarecrow Video in Seattle, which has kind of a, you know, a church aura about it. It feels like a place of worship as far as cinema goes. It helps that it's really huge, and it's, you know, 2 stories and, you know, hundreds. I think they have 100,000 titles. I think they have the record, but Mike Clark at Movie Madness would probably be angry at me for saying that, if anybody knows him. And Mike Clark, who owned Movie Madness before Hollywood Video, launched a very successful Kickstarter campaign to buy it. Did I say Hollywood Video? See, that's a thing. Thank you. That's awesome. I would hate for that to have gone down, and I mean, we're being filmed here. The Hollywood Theater, pretty much the opposite of Hollywood Video. And that's a good point to bring up with this next section, because it's about Scarecrow, which did it first in terms of, it's funny, I always say that people, you know, nobody goes to video stores anymore, but everybody wants to help save them. Because the Kickstarter, all the crowdsourcing is insanely, you know, it's a lot of money. And it worked twice on 2 really big stores, one of them being Scarecrow, which you'll see a little bit of their kind of downfall before later in the film. You know, we learn about the various crowdsourcing efforts that actually saved their businesses, and it turned them into nonprofits, which allows these really amazing superstores isn't a bad word, that sounds like a big box store. These you know, these perfectly curated, super, you know, high volume video stores save them from extinction, and they're kind of a new thing now. Or they become a new, and of course Movie Madness has a museum. If you've never been there, it's just going through that is, I go there all the time. Cleo likes to look at the little alien. She called it a worm. It's from the movie Alien. Little prop. It's pretty funny. And also, my kids are all over this movie. Not just my daughter is the red box girl, but it's like, if anybody has any kids that want to be in this film, I still am adding B-roll to it. So if you want your kid chased down, because there's also a section about kids and video store owners growing up, watching these kids grow up from, you know, in utero to, you know, grad school. And it can't just be shots of Cleo. And right now, she's kind of predominant there. But watching that, I realized I could have made the whole film just simply talking about the different sections at that store, or at Movie Madness in Portland. Yeah, I have enough footage. Hey, Casey, how's it going? I know that dude. I didn't see him there. Casey's in my film, The Auteur. And there's a great gag. It's at the end of the trailer of the movie also, where he talks about people are caught smoking marijuana in a car, and the cop's like, "It's cool, it's Oregon." Of course, That was in 2008. It's a different joke now. It's like video stores, it's nostalgia. But anyway, thank you so much for listening to all this. I intend to have the movie done in a couple months. I'm still editing and adding shots. I wasn't kidding about putting your kids in the movie. If anybody wants to sign a release and hop over to, what is it called? Real Hollywood Video? Yeah, we'll go somewhere else. Yeah. But I am going to be having a couple more shoots at Movie Madness. If anybody's interested, you can let me know. And I need extras. I need just people looking at boxes. Because a lot of the shots are just, just as an editor, I just slap stuff in there and it just sits there sometimes for a year. And I know I have to replace it, but anyway. Thank you so much.
We know that it is Sunday night and everybody would like to go home before you have to wake up at the crack of ugly to go to work in the morning. All right? Just me? All righty then. All right, so what we are going to do is present certificates for the official selections. What we ask is if just one person from your group could come forward to get your certificate, that would be great. You are welcome to applaud after each film title. Later on, I'll ask you not to do that. So I'm just, letting you know, get it out now. Okay. All right, so here we go. Official selections, The Joy Block. Okay, this next one, I struggle with this word, so please don't laugh at me. Domestic violence in rural America, survivors' stories. Legacy. Anyone from Legacy? No? Okay. If These Walls Could Talk. Radio Moon. In the House of Paper Flowers. And Knife. Honestly, Charlotte, The Muffining.
Good morning.
Who are you?
Charlotte.
Why are you here?
It's my first day. Okay, insurance. It's about as soul-sucking as it gets.
Do you know what a year-end audit is?
Do you?
Well, maybe once. Oh, in there. Everything you need is going to be in there.
Pyramid Assurity, how may I direct your call? One moment, please.
There's no one on the phone. Excuse me?
Young lady, you're not the muse I was expecting.
I'm from Pyramid Assurity.
From which?
Your insurance company?
I don't own an insurance company.
Was that my sandwich? I'm sorry. Who are you again?
Defective inhibition. Will. Gone in a Flash. Were you sleeping back there? Icons. Ready? Tino.
Tino is one of the very lucky persons who dearly loves what he does.
I found my first love working with cattle. I was ripe old age of about 12 years old. I really can't say that there's anything that I dislike about cattle business. It's been in my blood for a lot of years.
He just loves this. His whole heart and soul is in this. Dogs bond really easy with Tino. They're his buddies. They go everywhere he goes. Even the little funny white dog, you know.
Hi, Daddy.
She's always been there for me. She's taught me to play this game of cowboy all these years. Pretty hard not to love someone like that. As soon as the rains stopped, the creeks went dry. This is the worst thing that's happened to us for 100 years or better. Mom and I are proud that we produce something for people to eat. I think it's a great way of life. You just have it in your blood to be a cattleman, that's all.
Do unto others.
It's a lifer. Real hard case. Won't be so hard after the treatment.
If they're gonna lock him up here where he can't hurt anybody, why can't they just let him be?
I have money.
Give me money. My baby.
Go missing. The class analysis. Pendulum.
Time is the most common noun in the English language. And yet, it has always been a concept that eludes me. It's not that I don't know how to read a clock. I understand how it's measured. What I don't get is the way we communicate time. The idea that I can waste it, keep it, take it, tell it, or even kill it is ludicrous at best.
I really want to tell you something, but I need to figure out a way to prove it because there's no way that you are going to believe me otherwise.
Death is late, not absent.
This intangible, unexplainable force will destroy us all. It's the unmatched mass murderer of our reality. It's about time someone stopped time.
Busy. I will not write unless I am swaddled in furs.
When I write, it must be early morning, but not dark. I must be well rested, clean, warm, manicured, and pleasantly hungry. I will not write unless I'm swaddled in furs.
Corpse.
Picture yourself sitting at the bottom of a river.
What happened out there?
And the thoughts that usually cross your mind are like boats passing overhead.
We can leave if you'd like.
Let them pass. Acknowledge them, and then let them go.
Sac de merde. Uh-oh, am I ahead of you? My daughter speaks French. She helped me with that. I was very grateful.
By the way, he tried to come up from Vegas, which he premiered last night. He apologized for not being able to get a flight. Everybody decided they had to come to Portland this morning. But if anybody wants his email to contact him about his film, he said, please give it to you. So just hit me up afterwards.
Great. All right. Next paradigm now, the Albizia Project.
I can't tell you the number of times I've seen people stop in their tracks, walk up to the structure, walk around the structure, step back, and then realize that this thing of beauty that they're experiencing is made out of material that they previously thought you could not do anything with.
Made you look. Zero nightstand.
This is apartment 62. It is currently rented by Stephanie Showalter, who will be returning home, accompanied by Garrett Larson. They met using an app. Their first date consisted of a meal shared at a vegan restaurant that both of them admitted was selected and agreed to in order to respect the incorrectly assumed restrictive diet of the other party. When Stephanie invited Garrett to her apartment, it was interpreted by Garrett as an invitation to engage in coitus. Rather than clarify, Stephanie opted to go with it. The necessary supplies were purchased, and in 3 seconds, they will enter and attempt to get it on.
Regentrification.
Growing up and watching my family struggle and watching my mom go to jail for selling marijuana where we're legally selling it now it's kind of a crazy feeling. I want to see the industry here grow, not just weed, but together.
Out of all the other positions that I've had since I moved to Portland, this is the first one where I feel like I can actually be myself, and that's really refreshing.
Just across the street, there was a row of Black-owned businesses, and so to see that that's gone, but we are still here, is kind of bittersweet.
Goldfish funeral. Anonymous psychos. A boy's fear. Nora Ephron goes to prison.
I guess sometimes you have to hit rock bottom to get to the top.
Shit like that only happens in movies.
So pretend you're in a movie, Mary.
You're just afraid to be alone.
You're just saying that because you don't have a man.
You don't need a man to have someone.
World religions, Native American. La Rage. Bastianic, keep rocking. Bryce and Liam go to space. Unspoken. Where is everybody?
Australia, Israel.
Okay, fair. All right. 01. Portraitures. Thank you. Woohoo! Happy birthday, Art. Migrating with the Sandhill Cranes.
Always been rather nomadic. I've always been curious about what's over the next hill.
As they say, the rest is history.
All into gold. How many steps do we think Nancy has today?
And there's so many for some of these films.
All right, clues and socks. World religions, Shinto. An affair remains. Mork chop.
Oh, stop. I do cardio.
Next up, my family. Balloon. The wrestler. Did I miss one?
It was a couple slides back.
Last night.
Oh, I missed it. Okay.
I'm a slacker. I'm fired. Last night. Ghost Tours of Quebec. And my French-speaking daughter told me how to pronounce that correctly. She says, Mom, it is not Quebec. So have we all learned something new? Quebec. So our first award is the Will Vinton Award for the Best Animated Film. The nominees are Clues and Socks, And this is where I forgot to give you instructions. I'm going to read through all the nominees, and when we get to the end, then applause, please. So, clues and socks. 01, icons, and in the house of paper flowers. And the winner is, I feel like we need a drum roll or something. There we go. In the house of paper flowers.
Once upon a time, in a small house covered with papery flowers, there lived a woman with white hair, 2 cats, and a tiny wolf songstress. One of the cats bore the mark of a bat on his forehead. He was an empath of the first order. The other had a white mustache and went by many names, but the one the woman first uttered in her heart was Baby.
Congratulations to Anita George and her animation team. Right. Next up is our Ecology Sustainability Award. The nominees are Migrating with Sandhill Cranes and Paradigm Now, the Albizia Project. And the winner is, oh, I love you guys, you're the best. Paradigm Now, the Albizia Project, Rob Lau, director. Now, are we ready for the Best Actress nominees? Elise Fosmark for Busy. Rachel Perrell Foskett for Corpse. Sharon Lee McLean for Go Missing. Hannah Ellis for Nora Ephron Goes to Prison. Ariel Haller Silverstone for Suck de Merde, which I can't even say again. Thank you! Woohoo! And Terry Dwyer for My Family. And the Best Actress Award goes to Sharon Lee McLean for Go Missing. All right, moving on to the Best Actor nominees. Again, remember that English is my first language. Masayuki Yui for An Affair Remains. Ted Rooney for He Calls Them All by Name. Brian Adrian Cook for Pendulum. Clayton Newworth for The Wrestler. And Musa Silla for La Rage. Now this is awesome, friends, because we have a tie. Who loves a tie? Woohoo! So, our first Best Actor award goes to Ted Rooney for He Calls Them All by Name.
I will protect him. I will protect him. Hey, shut it! You gonna tell me to shout? I'm sorry. Do it! I'm sorry. Is that the old man, Ken? What's old Tucky getting up to, Ken?
You ain't good enough, man.
I'll tell you, like I told your boy.
Keep my boy out of this.
Hey, you.
I ain't to make right what's wrong.
I ain't gonna let you, Tucky.
Hear that? There's a Lord above.
Old Tucky!
Giving voice to the mockery.
Hey, you.
Old time
the director, Chad Sokas.
And accepted by the director, Chad. Yay! All right. And our second Best Actor award goes to Musa Silla from La Rage. All right, moving on to Best Sound Mixing nominees. He calls them all by name, Noah Woodburn. I Will Not Write Unless I Am Swaddled in Furs, Nick Buxton. Migrating with the Sandhill Cranes, Brian Nelson. And Nora Ephron Goes to Prison, Colin Blendell. Hey, that's not in my notes. And now I have to say it again. Help me out. Bless you all. Thank you so much, Thomas Wynn. And the winner goes to Noah Woodburn, for He Calls Them All by Name. I'm so glad I have someone looking out for me up here.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Best Music Score nominees. An Affair Remains. That's a lot of names.
Ray, help us out.
With pronouncing?
Yes.
Daria Shakova. There we go. All right. Next nominee, Go Missing, Brian Thompson. I Will Not Write Unless I Am Swaddled in Furs, Peter van der Vloot. La Rage, Alexis Mangod. Migrating with Sandhill Cranes, Caleb Etheridge, Garrett Bevins. Nora Ephron Goes to Prison, Charlie Rosen. What? Yeah, okay. And Portraitures, Sarah Isabella Dumuzio. Man, you guys, I'm the worst MC there ever was. Sac de merde. All right. And the winner goes to Peter van der Vloot. I will not write unless I am swaddled in furs. All right, so are we good? You want to do some more? Oh, good. All righty. So we are on to Best Story nominees. An Affair Remains, Ray Namoto Robinson. Ghost Tours of Quebec, Anna L. Morph. My Family, Tom Begley. Nora Ephron Goes to Prison, Susie Evans. Pendulum, is it Mikkel Sargent? Michael. I love that spelling. Oh, and here's that one. Sac de merde. Ariel Haller Silverstein, Gabrielle Barabek, and Greg Chwerchak. Did I get it? I slaughtered it. Oh, I love you guys. You're the best for being so kind to me. Okay, did I get them all? Okay. And the Best Story Award goes to Ariel Haller Silverstone, Gabrielle Berberchek, and Greg for Sac de Merde. All right. In the Best Editing nominees. He Calls Them All by Name, Katie Turinsky. I Will Not Write Unless I'm Swaddled in Furs, Nathan Pickles. Nora Ephron Goes to Prison, Julia Morrison. The Portraitures, Cosmo Spada. The Joy Block, Camille Carpenter. Tino, Jose Rodriguez Robles. And Zero Night Stand, Jason Rosenblatt. And the Best Editing Award goes to Katie Turinsky. He Calls Them All by Name. Oh, congratulations.
anxious to her then.
Why isn't she here?
That was the worst.
Oh, get over
picture
here.
ever.
Okay.
All right, and up next we have the Best Cinematography nominees. Are we all excited? You're all so quiet. Making me nervous. Okay. I know, right? You're such good listeners. Thank you. All right, first up we have Go Missing, Jeremiah L. Scott. He calls them all by name, Greg Schmidt. I Will Not Write Unless I Am Swaddled in Furs, Andrew Comas. If These Walls Could Talk, Victoria, Hybanuk. Very nice. Thank you so much. I'm learning something new today. It's awesome. And Zach Putnam. La Rage, Johan Superviole? Vioje? Yeah? I took a little Spanish, and that's not helping with my French. Migrating with the Sandhill Cranes, Brian Nelson. Nora Ephron Goes to Prison, Alex Craig. Paradigm Now, the Albizia Project, Rob Lau. Tino, John Blomgren. World Religion, Native American, Megan Clark and Jamie Francis. And the Best Cinematography Award goes to Greg Schmidt. He calls them all by name. Did you just want to stay up here?
Did she say photo?
Thank the judges.
Yeah.
All right. Best Directing nominees. Go Missing, Casey McFerrin. He calls them all by name, Chad Sogas. And again, I'm really sorry if I trash names. I Will Not Write Unless I Am Swaddled in Furs, Wade Schotter. Migrating with the Sandhill Cranes, Brian Nelson. Nora Ephron Goes to Prison, Hannah Ellis. Suck de merde. My daughter's going to give me a really hard time. Greg Schwerchak. Did I get it right this time? Sure, okay. And Tino Robin Hauser. And the Best Directing Award goes to Greg Schwerchak for Suck de Merde. All right, I need 2 seconds. Hold on. I just wanted to make you wait. Just kidding. Okay. The Grand Jury Prize nominees. Okay, are we ready? Okay. I keep looking at you like you're my man tonight. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate it. All right, Grand Jury Prize nominees. Go Missing. He calls them all by name. I Will Not Write Unless I Am Swaddled in Furs. Migrating with the Sandhill Cranes. Nora Ephron Goes to Prison. Sac de Merde. And Tino. I'm double checking. And the Grand Jury Prize goes to Sac de Merde. Ariel Haller, Silverstone, Gabrielle Verberchek, and Greg Cher. Got it. Very good. So we have enjoyed all of you so much tonight. I hope you all had fun, and we look forward to seeing you all in 2020 already. Have a great night, drive safe, and see you next time.